Hi everyone, it's Ann behind the camera because it's time for another What's New Wednesday. And Julie Madlin, who you're looking at, is the director of the Ogdensburg History Museum, and today she's going to take us back in time
Yes.
104 years in the past to the year 1921.
Yes.
What was happening here in Ogdensburg then, Julie?
Big stuff. We had a little fair going on.
Ooh.
The Ogdensburg Fair happened in August of 1921, and this was a poster that was just donated last week.
Isn't that pretty?
The Houck family.
Oh,
And I just love it. I think it's beautiful.
that is beautiful. So, big doings, the Ogdensburg
Big doings.
Fair.
Yes, this was a yearly thing, and thousands of people came to Ogdensburg. Many of them by 1921 are coming by train. So you had hundreds and hundreds of people coming by train to Ogdensburg to attend this fair.
Nice.
Yes.
And interestingly enough, that poster is very simple. There's no explanation about where to go to find the fairgrounds.
No, everybody just knew. Everybody knew what it was. And we were actually looking on this is actually an earlier map. This would be 1853, before the fairgrounds, but we can kind of show you generally where it was. So here's State Street on this map. Mm-hmm. And we have Canton Street here.
Okay.
So it's right in this area here.
All right. It's roughly about where OFA, Ogdensburg Free Academy High School.
Kind of the back side of that going towards Big Cheese Pizza.
Ah, okay.
That shopping center in that area.
That right there, folks.
Yep.
And then over here, of course, we have the Oswegatchie River.
There's the Oswegatchie here.
Which will lead into the St. Lawrence.
Right.
Okay, so we're right about here.
Yep.
For the fair.
And then we would have had, Anne was looking in my Bible here, the history of the city of Ogdensburg is my little Bible. And she found a couple paragraphs about it and a map or a photograph. So this is showing the fairground. You can see where they would have raced horses along here. They also did bicycle races.
Oh boy.
Bicycles were very, very popular around the turn of the century. And they had bicycle races there as well.
And this was taken from the air in 1926, it says. So you can see that was quite a landmark from the air.
Yeah, kind of neat.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's State Street right there. Okay, and
Cool.
then I did a little digging on the historic newspaper site, which I can get lost on that site. I just love it. And what I thought was really neat was they had a whole list of entries. So they had a lot of horse races there, different types of horse races. And they told you what the purse was going to be. So if you won, how much money you would get. And there were some that were $100. There were some that were $400.
Wow.
So we did a little research, and what did we find that $400 in 1921 would be about how much today?
$7,100 today.
Wow, that's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Pretty good. And there are different types of horse races too, which I thought was neat. So, and they would tell you who was going to be in the races. I'm sure there was absolutely no gambling going on whatsoever with these races, I'm sure.
Well, there was actually a little item in the write-up following the fair that said there was a lot of money that changed hands at the fair, and it wasn't all from gambling.
Wasn't all from gambling. And it's kind of neat. I mean, we're talking about what this would have been like. So it's not only a fair. I'm sure you could get all kinds of food and that kind of stuff. But they had horse races, and they also had exhibits. So they would, it'd be kind of like going to the expo and a fair all together. So they had a bunch of buildings there, which I'll tell you about in just a minute. But in one of them, they had electric light fixtures, which in 1921 would have been a big deal.
Yeah.
So you're really looking at electrification in many areas, especially rural areas. So you could go there and check that out.
And it says the Ogdensburg Power and Light Company is located in the Floral Hall.
Yes, so that's one of the buildings that was there. So there were a number of buildings there. And then this one is the Surprise, which was not located down there, but one of our favorite stores. But a lot of businesses would have benefited from having the fair in town because you have thousands of people coming into town. So a lot of the businesses were advertising and they had specials going on. A lot of the restaurants had specials going on.
Oh, nice.
And then in this one, you could even check out cars there. Studebakers.
So in 1921, it wouldn't have been that far after World War I.
Right.
And I think Studebaker, which was headquartered in South Bend, Indiana, Detroit, and I think they also had a place in Ontario where they made cars.
Yep.
During the war, I think they made gun carriages, I think I read. And now, so
Yeah.
now in 1921,
They switched over to making cars.
and Ogdensburg had an automobile club.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes. We had a bicycle club too.
Oh, nice.
Bicycle club and an automobile club. So it was, people would get together and go for drives in there with these new automobiles.
Wow.
And this was the Sharp family. And then, oh yes, I found this in the newspaper as I was looking this morning. And a man was knocked down on the race course during the fair. This is actually kind of funny. During the races at the fairgrounds yesterday afternoon, Joseph Kelly, an aged, love that, second ward man, I don't know what aged would mean, how old was he, started to cross the track and was struck by one of the horses. That would really hurt. Mr. Jelly was tripped and thrown in the air. He landed heavily on the ground, but apparently escaped injury aside from a severe shaking.
And what about his ego when this is printed in the paper the next day?
It had to be pretty embarrassing. And then a woman apparently was taken ill. I think they printed everything in the papers back then, and she was taken away. And then the firemen were called. This one was kind of interesting, to extinguish 3 slight fires in the grandstand during the afternoon. They were caused by lighted cigar ends, which were dropped through cracks and ignited the dry wood underneath. I mean, it's just crazy. They printed everything. But this was big news.
Yeah.
And then Anne found in the Bible here what would have been on the fairgrounds. So back in 1921, you would have had a high fence around it. You had a half-mile track. The grounds contained an agricultural hall, a mechanics hall, a dairy hall, a floral hall, octagon shape, and a dining hall and kitchen, 2 cattle sheds, a horse barn, an office, sheds, and several open pens for sheep and swine, and a small dwelling for a janitor.
Wow.
I mean, we're talking a lot of buildings
That's
here.
a big complex.
Yeah, and they actually give the dimensions of the buildings. These are not small buildings. One of them was 62 feet by 32 feet.
Wow.
I mean, these are pretty good sized buildings. So, it's kind of neat. Nothing remains of it today, but it's kind of neat to think about it.
Well, this must have been the social event of the season, wouldn't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this would have been really fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Yes.
Well, so folks, we see Julie DeGawn there in the distance. Hi, Julie. Was there anything that really struck you in listening to all this, Julie?
Just some of the detail,
Mm-hmm.
of facts around the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's really amazing to think of how many people would have been brought to Ogdensburg by this. They would have known exactly where to go.
Yeah.
And how would they have gotten from the train station out to the fairgrounds, do you think, if they were coming from around the North Country?
Well, there are various ways. I mean, you could simply walk. People walked a lot more than we walk today.
Mm-hmm.
You could have hitched a ride with family members or friends if they knew you were coming. You could have taken the trolley. There was a trolley that ran down State Street.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are a lot of different ways that you could have gotten there.
Do you think that people would have stayed in Ogdensburg overnight, maybe?
Probably, yeah. Probably they would have stayed. There were a lot of hotels here at the time. So, I mean, this would have been big business for Ogdensburg.
Yeah, I bet.
At that time. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So tell us again, who gave you this fabulous poster that has
Hauks did.
the Hauks?
Yes, and they were teachers at OFA, Bill and Louine Hauk. So they were, some of you may have had them as teachers.
Well, I think I may have. In fact, one of
I know
my
I did.
very favorite jumpers that I made in home ec class.
Yes.
I believe Mrs. Hauk helped me make that.
Yes. And Mr. Hauk was a science teacher.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So they donated this. It was I think, I was not here when this was donated. I think this was at they had an inn, the family had an inn in Black Lake.
Oh.
And I think it was there.
Okay. Well, we have some folks watching us live. Romy Sebald, who of course is over at the Frederick Remington Art Museum. She has a question. She says, do you know how many years the fair was run at the fairgrounds?
Oh, that's a great question. So it started in the 1870s when they actually got the property. And then when Oswegatchie separated from Ogdensburg, it would have ended. So probably late 20s, I would say. Yeah.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
Okay. So about 50 years maybe.
Yeah.
Good. That's a good long run.
It is. Yeah. And
Okay.
can you imagine organizing something like that? It must have been a huge undertaking for them.
Yeah, probably a full-time job for somebody.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It would take forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd imagine that a lot of the businessmen and women in Ogdensburg would have been part of probably planning for it and
Absolutely.
administering it.
Yes.
Romy says, interesting. And at this point, I'd like to just acknowledge all the other folks who are watching us live, Donald and Mary Lou, and I think there was someone else, and I'm sorry you've moved off the screen here, but thanks so much for joining us and for adding your questions. We really appreciate it. So this has been another fascinating segment, Julie. Is there anything else coming up that you want to make people aware of?
We have another children's program. It'll be our last one for this school year on May 10th. And that one's going to be looking at the 4 seasons of Ogdensburg.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
That's cool.
I hear there might be some planting involved.
Planting.
Flowers.
Okay.
We had a big crowd last time, so we had a whole bunch of kids last time for our birthday party.
Birthday for Ogdensburg.
Yep, happy birthday, Ogdensburg. So this one will be our last one for the school year, and then we'll begin again in October.
Oh, that sounds terrific.
Yeah.
So looking ahead to the summer, Julie, what can we look forward to?
Oh my gosh, we have Jim Reagan is going to be doing a talk for us on Fort Oswegatchie and during the American Revolution. We have, I know I'm going to miss some stuff. I'm doing a history walk.
Okay.
We've got, oh gosh, so much stuff going on. We're going to be helping out with the forts events, just tons and tons of stuff. And in the fall, we have an urban renewal talk coming up, which I think is going to be
sounds
really
interesting.
good. That'll be in November. October's, we usually do a ghost walk, which is always fun. I love doing those. So lots and lots of stuff.
Oh, that's
planned.
great.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, when folks are home for vacation, we normally see a lot of really cool folks who drop by and share their stories and just look around at all the great exhibits that we have here. I'll pull away just for a minute. We've got some amazing, very professional exhibits. There's something from the Remington right there. We've got some fabulous stained glass windows. We celebrate, of course, the Muskie and lots of other stuff.
Yes.
But the thing that we really love the most, Julie, is the stories that people bring with them and share here.
Yep. It's so much fun just learning about. I learn something every day when I'm here.
Me too.
I learned all about the fair today. I really didn't know a ton about it, but I've learned a lot.
Well, we can thank the Hauks for that.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, I guess that probably should wrap it up for us. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in and joining us. And thank you, Julie, for another fascinating What's New Wednesday.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.